Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll give folks just a couple more minutes to join us, and then we'll get started with our introductions and get ready for our guest speaker. Got a lot of exciting things to talk about today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Callie, we're just giving everybody a couple more minutes to get logged in and to get settled. We'll get started with introductions here in about another minute or so.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, it's a couple of minutes after 9 o'clock, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time to get through our introductions before our guest speaker joins us at 9:15. So we will go ahead and get this meeting started. We will have this recording available, and one of the things that I want to talk with you all about under our discussion today is a communications plan for our group that might help to share updates more frequently, that might help to share resources and notes, meetings more frequently. So we'll talk about that later on in the agenda when we get to it. But welcome, good morning. Thank you all for joining us at the start of arguably the busiest quarter of the year for nonprofit organizations. So I appreciate everybody's time today, and we will do our best to return that value to you, both in the quality of our conversation and in the resourcefulness of what we will be discussing. So just to get us started, I thought, we have different people join us at each of these meetings, and it's helpful to provide some brief context for who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. So if you all could share your name, organization, and where your organization operates, and one thing that your work is teaching you right now, just in a minute or two. And I will work through folks as they appear on my screen so that we can get through to everybody. And just to get started, my name is Daniel Prohaska. I'm the president and CEO of Lions Vision Services. We're headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina, and operate in all 46 counties. And one thing that work is teaching me right now is balance, because we have a lot of urgent things right now that sometimes drown out the important things, but we have to give time to those important things that will really help move us forward. And that same balance applies to work-life balance as well during the holiday season, where it's important to spend time with family too. So I'm learning a lot about balance in this new role in this time of the year. So I hope that that rings true for you as well. When you are the next person on my screen.
Hey, I'm Lynn Fitzgerald. I work for Lions Vision Services, Executive Vice President. I operate out of Columbia, South Carolina. And my job is teaching me, I would say, patience. and that covers a lot of different aspects. One would just be clients we work with. You know, everybody's in a different point in their life, and some have just settled in a rut, and you know, there's a lot of patience to nudge them along to get things done, and you know, to help us get them through our service programs. But yeah, I would say that patience, just having patience and grace with people.
And patience for your fellow coworker too, I'm sure, when that requires no small degree of patience, having to put up with me on a daily basis. So you all only get to see me once a quarter. Wynn and I get to talk every day. So Dr. Page, you are next on my screen. Would you mind going?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Carol Page. I am the program director of the South Carolina Assistive Technology Program. I'm also a speech language pathologist, and we're located in Columbia, but we serve the whole state of South Carolina, people of all ages and disabilities. So it's not unusual for us to work with somebody with a vision impairment and another disability. And my work continues to teach me to be humble. And every time my little ego pops out of the, I have to do away with that. So anyhow, and I have a great staff. I'm so proud of the people I work with. I'm really blessed and just happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Page. Ernest, would you mind going next?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Ernest Glover. I'm the marketing coordinator, government affairs here at Lighthouse for the Blind in Summerville, South Carolina. And I think that the thing that I've learned more with this role is empathy and gratefulness. You know, I deal with a lot of senators throughout the country, and I work really hard to be able to get our mission across. And in order for me to be able to really soak in what our mission is so I can convey it effectively, I really practice gratefulness for being in a position to be able to share what the mission is here at the Lighthouse for the Blind for people who are visually impaired, and also a sense of empathy.
Absolutely. That's a great lesson to continually reflect on for all of us, Ernest. Thank you. Dory, would you mind going next for introductions?
I would be happy to. Hi, I'm Dory Tembier. I am the Director of Community Outreach and Consumer Rights for ABLE South Carolina Center for Independent Living, and I am excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Dory. The Shifa Clinic is the next on my screen. Would you mind going next? If anybody from the Shifa Clinic that's joining would have time for a quick introduction.
Sorry, hi. My name is Lupe Barragan-Moser. I am the office manager of the Shifa Free Clinic. Our clinic is a free clinic that provides services for different specialties. We provide services for primary care, GYN, prenatal, and vision is one of them. And we have twice an ophthalmologist, and also we do have an optometrist. And I'm sorry, the optometrist is twice, and the ophthalmologist is in the back when the patients need a special treatment, and also in order to be no cost for the patient. So also we do have the ability to apply for glasses through the program. So we have received this year a very successful number of patients with glasses and whatever they are available to be treated through the ophthalmologist. So we are welcome and very happy. We receive any kind of community who comes. We don't have a zip code restriction in South Carolina. And like I mentioned, everything is a free cost.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your work and for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Gretchen, you are the next on my screen. Would you mind doing the introductions?
Hi, I'm Gretchen Smith. I am the Executive Director for the Smith Medical Clinic, no relation, here in Georgetown, South Carolina. We have two clinics, one in Pawleys Island and one in Georgetown. And I've been doing this for 2 months. And the thing that I have been learning is over planning kills magic, because I am very type A and have tons of things on my to-do list every day. And I have had to learn that I have to open my door and walk outside and meet the patients and the volunteers. And if I have to push things to the to-do list for tomorrow, that is much better than missing out on the magic that is happening here at the clinic.
That is some excellent insight, Gretchen. And welcome again. I appreciate you taking time out of that busy schedule to be with us this morning. And if there's anything we can do to help or support you in this new role, please let us know. We're delighted to have you with us.
Well, thank you so much. If you'd like to come down here and help me figure some things out, I'm open to anyone coming to visit anytime.
Awesome. We will do it. Brooks, thank you for joining us this morning. Would you mind doing your introduction?
Yes, Daniel, thank you for having me. I'm Brooks Harkin. I'm the Chief Programs Officer with the Association for the Blind here in Charleston. We currently serve the Tri-County for a majority of our services, but we do expand a little bit throughout the state when it comes to our occupational therapy program. And I think right now what work is teaching me is effective communication within our team. We opened a second office during the pandemic last year, and I think it's navigating what effective communication leads within our team that can lead to growth is really, what I'm learning on right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brooks. Jennifer Baser, would you mind introducing yourself this morning?
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Baser. I'm the president of the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. And we are headquarters in Columbia, and we serve all over the state. I would say mine is self-care. I always tell my team and others that if you can't take care of yourself, how are we going to be able to take care of others? So, and that is super hard for me as the Director of Successful Transitions, which we do pre-employment transition services for youth who are blind. Being a single parent and being the president of the NFB of SC. But if I don't take care of me and actually take time out to do something for me, or, whatever it is, if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot take care of the folks that we are serving. And I am still in that learning process. It is so hard to do it for me, but I know it is so important for all of us to do that.
Welcome to the club, Jennifer. You're in good company here. That whole concept of when those masks drop out of the ceiling in the airplane, you've got to put your mask on before you can help the person.
That's right.
So, wonderful. Thank you for being here. Jeannie, would you mind going next?
Sure. I'm here on audio only. Gotta love technology. In a minute, I'll reboot and pull you guys up on my computer, and I'll have better sense. But I'm Jeannie Farmer. I work at the Vision Institute. We provide school-age services and independent living services to adults, and we run point for the national program called I Can Connect here in South Carolina, which helps distance communication for people who have both vision loss and hearing loss. The thing I'm learning in the current climate and business is probably to let go and trust my team. I am surrounded by amazingly brilliant staff members, and having to let go of my own control issues and trust them to do it. And of course they do it probably better than me, but learning to let go and trust is probably what I'm learning the most these days.
Wonderful. That's something that has always been a challenge for me as well. Wynn can tell you I am the type A type person. So that same kind of responsibility and delegation is important to learn. So that's wonderful. Callie, would you mind wrapping us up here with introductions?
Sure. Good morning. I am Callie Sandel. I work at Able, South Carolina with Dory. I actually got a new job title recently. I am the Employment and Financial Literacy Coordinator. And so I do employment services and financial services for people with all sorts of disabilities, including vision loss. And I'm in Columbia out of our main office. In Columbia, we have 26 counties that we serve generally as a Center for Independent Living, but then a lot of our programs are statewide. I have been learning recently about just the power of community. I think, like Carol said, it's easy sometimes to get a little cocky and think like, oh, I got this. But if you just would have talked to somebody within your network, and as we've gone around the room this morning, it's beautiful to be reminded who the network is. Sometimes I don't have the answers, and just remembering to reach out, I think, is something I need to practice.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your new title, Callie. That's very exciting. We're excited for you and appreciate you being with us this morning.
Thank you.
And right on time, absolutely perfect segue there. Could not have timed it better if I was trying to orchestrate it all with the stopwatch. We're thrilled to welcome Erin Johnson to join us this morning for a very special conversation. Erin Johnson is the Vice President of Community Investment at Central Carolina Community Foundation, one of our state's most significant community foundations in our region. Erin is responsible for leading the foundation's efforts to increase their impact in the Midlands and implement community engagement strategies. She oversees the competitive grant making, scholarship programs, and program-related initiatives, such as Connected Communities. She joined the CCCF team in 2016. Her hometown is from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she received a education degree from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a bachelor's degree there, and then MPH, Masters of Public Health, right, Erin? Yep, Masters of Public Health from University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. Her hobbies include watching the Tar Heels and Carolina Panthers, reading and spending time with her husband, Sean, and daughters, Maya and Nina. And her extensive community leadership includes serving on the Board of Trustees for Richland Library, the Congregational Council of St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, and is a Sandhills Softball League volunteer. So Erin is an absolutely amazing ally for good, and we're delighted to have Erin join us this morning for a conversation that you all have expressed a desire for us to have, which is to talk with funders and particularly foundation investors about what constitutes effective or a meaningful grant partnership. This is particularly timely. I'll put in a plug for the event that the foundation hosted just yesterday on collaboration. So if you weren't there, I encourage you to find that and to check that recording out. Erin, thank you so much for being with us today, and we're really excited for this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I like seeing your faces. I love when I come into a meeting and people have their screens on. Nothing against the rest of you, because I totally understand sometimes we just can't do screens, but it's nice seeing everybody's face today. I want this to be sort of casual. You didn't have to turn it on, Ms. Schieffer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shame you to turn it on. I want this to be conversational, informal. I think that I appreciate you all inviting me here, because one of the goals that we have as Community Foundation is to constantly be in community with you all who are on the ground. We need to know what's going on. We need to know what your needs are, your priorities are. And so I appreciate you as well having a dialogue with me, so I make sure that I'm being relevant in the work that I'm doing, because the last thing we want to do is to keep putting out proposals or ideas that you were saying you're totally missing the mark here, and you're knock it off. So I'll just kind of briefly let you know who we are as a community foundation, sort of what our priorities are and how we approach grant making. And then we'll open it up to see if there's any more discussion you want to dig a little deeper into certain areas. So just so I can get a little idea, sort of show of hands, if you will, or raise your hand. Who all is located sort of in the Midlands area? Anyone here or has programming in the Midlands area? Okay, looks like maybe about half. Okay, that's good to know. Well, so hopefully you all are very aware of who the Community Foundation is serving your community. We have, I think it's now 2 counties left that don't really have representation for a community foundation. All others, though, are covered by a community foundation in our state. Some are more active than others. Some have some very focused priorities. Others are more broad and general, which is kind of where Central Carolina Community Foundation lands. We're much more open. We don't have specific areas necessarily that we're always focusing on. But we really see ourselves as a collaborator. That's sort of what, we have a persona, we do our strategic planning, and that's sort of where we want to land, is a collaborator. We are a large funder. We put out $15 million last year, and the vast majority of it stayed here in the Midlands. So we are one of the larger funders in the state, but certainly here for the Midlands. But the vast majority is donor advised funds. And if you're familiar with some of that, it's really donor directed. A donor has a fund here, and most of them know who they want to give to and how often they want to give and how much they want to give. And they ask us to send that on their behalf, and we do. But we do have about 20 to 35% or so, 20 to 30% that do ask our opinion. They say, I'm interested in this specific area, or people who are serving in this either geographic area or this topic. And we say, we would love to give you some advice on who's doing good work. And so that's where we're kind of at the ready. And we do survey our donors, and we're getting more active in that. And donors are asking for feedback a lot more. I think donors are realizing that all too often we've kind of just given to the same organizations over and over again because that's who we know of, that's who we've heard of, that's what historically people have given to. And I think they're starting to be a little bit more like, who else is out there? Who's doing some innovative work? Who do I not know about that maybe is under the radar that I should know about? And so those are the kind of things we make sure that our donors are aware of if they ask. We don't solicit our donors. We don't, for example, say, hey, this is a great opportunity. Do you want to give to it? Unless they have come to us in advance and said that's something they would like from us. So sometimes we do that for them on their behalf if they've asked us to. So again, with our idea of us being a collaborator, we also look for projects that are done in collaboration, which, Daniel mentioned that we did a webinar yesterday because we are funding more and more kind of collaboratives. And so I just, I have a background. I came from a nonprofit. I was there for 13 years. And so I know how hard collaboration is. And I also came from the state before that. And the state has a different way of looking at collaboration. Certainly it's the big dog in the room, right? And so it's a different way as well of collaborating as a state agency. But we look for that. We do, think, I like the quote that Dana put up yesterday, which is basically, I don't know if you can remember, it was something like, no one social problem was caused by an organization, as such, no one organization can fix it either, right? And so we believe the same. And so as philanthropy, we want to be at the table. We see ourselves as kind of a connector. We do sort of have Joanne, our CEO, sort of says we don't have a dog in the fight other than the fact we want our community to be more livable for everyone. And so we sort of see a bigger picture. We help to connect the 2 different entities or 3 or 4 or 5 entities that are doing some of this work, saying, hey, did you know that such and such was also kind of in this space, or that maybe they have access to the populations you're looking for? And we try to sometimes make that bridge for folks. And so we also, though, want to collaborate with other funders. And so when there are projects that other funders, especially ones in the state, and or projects that are funded by, say, regional or national funders, we want to know about those because it might be something we can come alongside and help boost a little bit. We know just from looking in the world of philanthropy that regional and national funders are more and more interested in the Southeast in particular and South Carolina. I think finally, folks are realizing that our country can only go so far as long as the rest of it's not just one region, right? If there's a whole region of the country that is maybe not doing as well as others, then it's holding the rest of it back. And there is a huge disinvestment in the Southeast, Deep South in particular. And I think folks are trying to sort of right that wrong. we don't have a lot of homegrown foundations here. You know, we don't have the Kresge's or the Robert Wood Johnsons. I mean, those families, you know, those, what are they, robber barons, whatever, they didn't live here. They might have had their vacation homes here, but they didn't live here. So their big, huge foundations are not located here, right? And so we don't have that huge investment that other parts of the country do. So, but those foundations are finally starting to look to see maybe who is not getting their fair share equitably, right? And so we're starting to see some of that. And so hopefully, you know, you're starting to see some of that as well when it comes to funding opportunities that might be coming through. Hopefully you're seeing some of that. And then there's certainly that big American Rescue Plan money that's coming out, that if you can get your hands on where it's going in your communities, great. What we're seeing is two different kinds of thoughts on that with their communities. We see that a number of our counties and cities are saying, whoo, I've had this project on the back burner for a long time and I can finally do it. And so they do that. And there are other counties, though, that are really thinking through where was our community hurting because of this pandemic, and how can this money be used to help? And I'm not saying there's good or bad, right or wrong with that. I think they both can work, right? But hopefully you're at the table, or you know some legislators and decision makers who are sort of on your side, if you want us to call it that way, or on the nonprofit side, that can help with some of that. And so if you're a part of Together SC as well, they're certainly lobbying, and that's really what the word is. They are lobbying on behalf of nonprofits. We believe that there's at least 50 million that might be going to nonprofits. We're trying to get it up to 100 million. We'll have better conversations about that by January, so hopefully some of that will come trickling down as well. All that to say, now is certainly the time to start talking to your funders. They need to know about you. They need to know about the work you're doing, because when that money, so we've had a lot of city and county municipal governments, for example, who are like, we've never had this kind of money before. The state legislator is saying that as well. We don't know what to do with it. I mean, it's almost, because there's also that Santee Cooper money that's coming in. And I mean, it's huge buckets of money. And they're like, we don't even know where to start, because it's also one-time funds, right? So so you need to be at the table. And certainly I recommend doing that now. So when you're looking at like Central Carolina Community Foundation, I really recommend looking at our website. You know, when you talk about sort of a way to approach a foundation, I love it when nonprofits call me, but I also want them to do a little bit of research beforehand. It's really hard when one calls, and I get it about every day, who says, this is my name, this is my nonprofit, and I was told I should call you. And then it's just kind of dead air. And I'm like, okay. So then I have to kind of back up and say, what do you know about us? So do your research, find out what the mission is of the foundation, what their priorities are, their funding priorities, and see maybe where you think your nonprofit might land when it comes to their funding or their priorities, and then start with that. I think that maybe I'm a good match for, you know, the AFLAC grant or your Connected Communities grant, and then we can talk about that, right? Because I don't know exactly what all your programming is and you can tell me the name of your organization, those kind of things. But I definitely recommend starting at our website. We put a lot of time and energy into that, and there's a lot of information there, which I get. And if it's not easily navigable, please let me know. But start there, and then then reach out. It's smart to have a conversation with a funder, with us. One of the things that I remind our nonprofits is that, yes, foundations are in the business of giving away money, but it's still money, right? Like, it's real money. And so rarely do you give money to somebody that you do not know at all, right? If you're like, I don't know who this organization is, I've never seen them before, they've never participated in our stuff before, I've never heard from them, nothing like that. So when our board asked us, oh, tell me about this organization, and we're like, I don't know. I mean, I went to their website maybe, and that's all I know about them. That's a lot harder, right, for that organization to get money if they're sort of a big, huge unknown, as opposed to, oh, their executive director gave me a call. This is what they're working on. This is what their priorities are. The situations they're facing. It gives some context, and because again, you're asking for money, right? So I definitely think that it's a good idea. Now, I will say, not all foundations love that. We, though, as a community foundation, find value in getting to know our nonprofit, but not all do. So certainly take a hint. If you try to reach out a few times and they haven't called you back or emailed you back, then okay, do all you can and move on. But we do like that, and we have our email and our phone numbers on our website. I think that's a pretty telling thing when you go to a website and there's really not a way to contact staff. That sort of lets you know that that's probably not that's not their preferred way of dealing with grantees. So I would say that. With Central Carolina Community Foundation, our focus really is on livability and quality of life, and all those different forms that it comes in. But we also, we kind of look at projects that make our 11 counties, which is pretty large, our 11 counties, a place that people want to live. They want to stay here. They want to invest here. Because as an overall goal, we have a goal to increase philanthropy. So if you've ever heard of Midlands Give, that's the community foundation, our community foundation. We run that huge initiative. And so the goal of that, though, is to increase philanthropy, right? Like that we all can be philanthropists at some level, whether it's, not just money, but time and talents as well. And so, but that day is really about money, let's be honest. But we do ask if people want to be a volunteer, which is good. And that day is really helping to also get new donors, because it's an entry point for a lot of folks, because it's a $10 minimum gift. So it's an entry point for a lot of donors. And it's something like 40% of all donors are new to that organization, have never given to that organization before. And that's a really great way to cultivate donors. If someone gives to you, absolutely reach out, right? And get to know them, at least thank them, and see if they'd like to, get to know you all a little bit more. I certainly wouldn't necessarily, I've had a few nonprofits who you gave them during Midlands Gives, and the next correspondence they had with you is, would you like to give more? And I'm like, come on, let's talk a little bit. Let's become friends. So really cultivating those donors. So livability is one of our focus areas. The other is nonprofit capacity. So and increasing nonprofit capacity. I mentioned to you that the vast majority of our money that goes out is in donor advised funds. And we sort of backed up and said, the sort of pot of money that our staff is able to manage is incredibly small compared to what our donors are sending out. And so how can we really try to ensure that the big money that's going out is going to the best and highest use? And so we thought about nonprofit capacity. We know that sometimes if money is tight, that's the first thing that goes. Folks are like, well, where can we cut? Maybe we're not going to send people to conferences, or those kind of things, or we're not going to really spend as much time on board development or on strategic planning, whatever that is. So we really are looking at nonprofit capacity building as well. We just closed up the applications for 2 of our projects, which was the capacity building mini grant and the fundraising project, which was Jumpstart. So that's one that we've been doing now, both of those for about 4 years. And we're looking for other ways to help. So we're doing free trainings, as was mentioned. We're trying to get to do that more often, maybe once a quarter, but hopefully a little bit more often than that moving forward. And we're looking at different ways of coaching. So my background is in capacity building. And I remember, we could train people all day long, but when they get back to their office and they're the only ones that got trained, and we're asking them to do some brand new something that they've got to convince everybody at their office to do, and I've got to figure out how to actually implement that. I know how hard that is. And so we've sort of backed up a little bit and are looking more at a coaching model as well. So not only are you getting the information, but then there's someone to walk alongside you to give you some sort of, pointers on how to get from A to Z specific to your organization. Sometimes when you learn something in a group, it's not necessarily applicable to the way you do things at your organization. So we're looking at coaching models as well to provide that one-on-one support to an organization, multiple people at an organization. So that's sort of where we were also sitting. And I don't know if a whole lot of foundations are doing that now, maybe more are, but hopefully more are getting into it. So yeah. Again, I mentioned increasing philanthropy was one of our focus areas. And so we're also trying to leverage additional dollars. So we're putting, prize money into Midlands Gives. We're putting prize money into Giving Tuesday. Little plug, if you are in the Midlands, please register for Midlands Gives soon. Because if you're an early bird registrant, that means you're also eligible for some prizes during Giving Tuesday. So there's other things that you can do. So we're trying to leverage additional dollars and prizes on those giving days as well. And we do Give 828, which is Giving Black Day as well. So we're trying to do little different ways to get people to give at different times of year. And we, are certainly excited whenever we hear about somebody giving some good money. And we're also focusing on outside Richland County. We look at our geographic and our demographic diversity. To be fair, most of our donors are from Richland County, but we want to make sure that not all the dollars stay in Richland County. So we do have some goals to get outside of sort of your metropolitan area, making sure that funds are going to our more rural communities and projects are happening in our more rural communities. And we're also looking at organizations that are led by marginalized communities, by Black, Indigenous, people of color, by people with disabilities, and people who typically GLBTQIA communities. So we are looking at other organizations that are serving and led by, not just serving, but are led by marginalized communities. And then, I don't know if you know this or not, but we do a whole bunch of disaster philanthropy. Back in the 2015 floods, we started a disaster fund, and then Governor Haley asked if we would make that a statewide fund. It's hard to say no to your governor, so you said, of course, we'll be glad to do that. And so we're now running the statewide, 1SC fund, and it's been activated for 3 different hurricanes and then for COVID. And so we're wrapping up our final COVID disaster relief fund grants next month will be the last of those, we think. And so we're really very active in the disaster philanthropy space, which a lot of people don't know about, but because a lot of it is done, like I said, out in the PD for the hurricanes, but we've been doing a whole lot of that for the last 6 years. So that's sort of our little snapshot of us. And the last thing sort of I'll say is that, relationships are key for us. We don't want to just be a funder. We call our grantees partners sometimes, and maybe that's a stretch, and maybe our grantees don't necessarily think that, we're hoping to change that. We want to be in partnership with our folks. We don't ever want to be the funder that makes it hard on people. We're sending out a survey this week to anybody that completed an application. We have a new online grant portal, by the way. So everything's online now, which there's good and bad to that. There's good in that, all your information is there. It's easier to navigate. It's also not everybody is tech savvy. We also recognize that might not be ideal for everyone either. So we're sending out a survey today or tomorrow that says, how did that go? Did we miss the mark on this? What do we need to do differently moving forward? Because we had a lot of folks who took a long time to complete their applications, and that's not what we want. It should be in proportion to the money you're asking for, right? So we're trying to be as fair with our nonprofits as possible. And very rarely have we had a situation where a nonprofit has been open and honest and communicative with us that said, hey, the project we proposed to you is not working. We've got to change some things. And we say, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. We want it to work. We want success. The last thing we want is to take money back out of the community, right? So we want this to work. So let's talk about how to make that work. And so that's why I say we try to be in partnership with our nonprofits. I've been here 5 years now, 5 years next week. And I've only canceled 4 grants since I've been here, right? So we really try to make sure that you all are a success. We want the nonprofit community to be seen for the professionals you are and the hard work you're doing. And so however we can walk alongside you with that and treat you that way, the better. We are looking at trying to do more general operating support grants. It's not easy. We're trying. We've piloted a few, and we have 9 partners right now that we're doing multi-year general operating support grants, unrestricted, kind of do with it what you need. And we're trying to do more of that. And so we'll let you know when we figure out the specifics on how to get that done. But that's sort of where we're trying to also ease into as well. When you are completing an application with us, we are totally open to you calling and saying, hey, this is my idea. What do you think? Where's the strengths? Where do I need to work on it? Because we don't make the decisions for our that's the nice thing. We don't make the decisions. We have grant committees that do. So we can give you our feedback and tell you what we think and what we think the committee would maybe kind of gravitate toward. And I'm a programmer at heart. That's where I came from, with program planning. And so I love to talk about strategies and programs and, your assessment and your process and all those kind of things. My suggestion would be, though, if a funder's giving you advice, you have an honest conversation about, I liked your suggestion, but it might not work. Let us know that kind of stuff. Because the hardest thing is when we give you suggestions and then when the application comes in and you're like, that's, it's totally opposite of what we discussed. And that makes it a little bit harder. So certainly, try to incorporate the suggestions when possible. But again, we do want to be in conversation with you, in connection with you. I'll do another plug again. If you haven't registered for Midlands Gives, do that now. It's pretty simple to get on there. And then we have over, I think it's 200 hits a month onto our Midlands Gives site of people just cruising around looking at and researching nonprofits. So it's a good way at least to just have your name out there to make sure people know about the work you're doing. So I think that's us in a nutshell. And I certainly would welcome any questions if you have any. Or if I totally missed the mark, let me know that as well, and I'll regroup and do something else.
Erin, that was perfect. Thank you so much for that overview. We've got a small enough group. I would invite people that if they have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump in and ask it. Or if you're more comfortable putting it in the chat box, we can certainly do that as well. I'll keep an eye on that. And just to get us started with that, Erin, I wonder in your time, almost 5 years now, congratulations, if there was a particular partnership or a particular proposal that comes to mind when you think of an effective, successful grant partnership with a nonprofit. Does a particular entity or example of that come to mind that you could share with us so we could see more specifically what that partnership looks like when it's lived out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's see. You know, I have to say I have been really in particular intrigued by the food share model lately. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of who they are. They're actually a large nonprofit that's out of the University of South Carolina, and they do fresh food boxes. And they put together a model of efficiency and effectiveness, right? And in the end, it's sort of a they can raise enough money to support themselves pretty much outside of the infrastructure needed. But they have a partnership with the local the state farmers market, and they can get produce at a discount. They prepare food boxes. They have a nutritionist on staff that puts together recipe cards for the produce that's in that box. That's also somewhat healthier, right? That has maybe less sugar, less fat, that kind of thing. And then they have a partnership where people who are using SNAP or WIC can use their card to purchase those boxes. And it's a discount of $5 or $10. But folks who are not on WIC or SNAP can certainly buy those as well at full price, which is only $10 or $20. So that model allows them to pay for those boxes, right? I love that model. What I love even more about that model is that they can pick it up and teach local communities how to do it. And so they're also the technical assistance provider for the Orangeburg Food Share, for the York County Food Share, for the Lee County Food Share. And they've taken that model and have been able to drop it in other places. And so those other places have been able to tap into their local farmers, which is I just love the process of they're engaging with helping the local economy, plus it's a self-sustaining model, plus it's, locally run. It's not Columbia coming in and running it in these smaller communities. It's these communities getting the capacity they need, making it their own, because sometimes that exact model doesn't work in particular. We had some communities who said, because you're supposed to order the box a week in advance, and they said, my community just isn't there just yet. And so they're making the boxes, but people will come and pick them up. That's not a problem. So they're not doing the ordering, so just really shifting it to make it work in that community. A lot of them are volunteer run or run by the local churches or whatever those are. And it's just a really neat way to think what's the best practice and how can we help our local communities implement it themselves, but also having this really neat self-sustaining model that does help out the local community by, I love that. I love that project. And it's one that, you can also get behind, right? People are eating, they're eating healthier. You're helping the local farmers and the local economy. It's a win-win in my head. So they just needed community and foundation support because they needed big refrigerated boxes, right? Like they needed to be able to do their refrigeration, and and it does require a big space because you're packing big boxes of food, right? You had to be able to have a location that the big trucks can a loading dock, right? So you have to have locations like that. So there's infrastructure issues that we helped with. And then after that, they were like, we can manage this. And I think that's exciting. And then they also built in an advocacy component where they are talking to their local legislators saying, for example, we need a location that has a loading dock and has refrigeration. We need some additional support. You say that food insecurity is important in this community. We have a model that works as well as healthy food, right? Let's talk about that. And so I think it's been great how they've incorporated sort of all of that into one. Yeah. Wow,
that's really exciting. Scalability is kind of what I heard from that idea that you can scale this is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have questions for Erin?
Hi, Erin. I love that you're very interested in helping the more rural parts of the state. 2 thumbs up on that. That's also our goal as well. does your organization prefer to help like other nonprofits, or are you helping individuals directly?
Great question. Yeah.
And if you do work with individuals, what qualifications must they meet?
Right, great question. So we as a community foundation, so we're a 501c3 nonprofit ourselves, that by law, we only grant to 501c3s, other nonprofits. We can grant to government institutions, public like municipalities and county governments, and we can grant to faith-based institutions as well. They just have to have like a charitable letter kind of thing. It's fine. So we certainly can give to other organizations. Now, and we don't ever give to individuals. We can't do that. We do scholarships, but the money goes directly to the school. So it never goes to an individual. And we also have there's little nuances where, when it comes to charitable giving, if you name the end user, it's no longer charitable. Now that becomes a gift. Mm. So there's this, there's those shades. We had an instance where we had a gentleman who wanted to donate his van to a family that needed a wheelchair accessible van. And so he wanted to get a tax write-off, but the problem was he already identified the family, right? So then it's all sticky. And so if he just says, I just want to donate my van, I don't care who you give it to, then that's a different thing. And so we don't give to individuals though as a result, no. And we can't let our donors the donors can't say, I want to give to, I don't know, Able SC, so Able SC can help, John Smith. They can't do that either. They just have to say, I'm going to give it to Able SC. Yeah. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Carol? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. And could you put your website address in the chat?
Sure.
It's there.
Maybe your contact information.
I'll put mine in there before I leave. Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Any other questions or comments? Awesome. Well, Erin, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to meet with us. This is an important collaborative group that represents a number of organizations across the state that are serving the blind and visually impaired. So we greatly appreciate your time and your insight. And thank you for helping us better understand what effective grant partnerships look like.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, y'all. You'll have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much, Erin.
Bye.
So Erin does have her contact information there in the chat, and if you go to their website, Central Carolina Community Foundation is excellent at connecting you with staff emails and phone numbers as well. The organization's website is a little bit farther up in the chat. It's www.yourfoundation.org. So we definitely encourage you to check that out, and we will send a recording of this and of the chat so that you'll have all that information to follow up on as well. So I hope that this has been helpful for you all. I know that this was one of the topics that we wanted to explore more as a group, and I thought Erin's perspective was really encouraging and insightful for us. So we're looking ahead at what our speakers next year might look like. I know that one of the other foundations that I've reached out to in preparation for today's meeting was the Coastal Community Foundation. They're based more on the coast, as you might expect, and they are interested in presenting next year as well to offer another perspective on what community foundation partnerships might look like. So that might be another opportunity down the road. And one of our board members at LVS, who is blind and visually impaired and has been a very active civic leader, is interested in sharing her perspectives on how she has approach community involvement and community service as a blind and visually impaired person. So we're excited to get her perspective in a future session as well. So are there any thoughts or suggestions about other topics that we could pursue or other specific individuals? I've got our notes from our last conversation that we'll keep as a reference as we build on that, but I want to keep this relevant to you all. What else could we do to improve that? All right, well, if you think of things as you are moving along and feel like there would be a good opportunity to have a speaker here, please let me know. I'd be glad to explore and chase down any of those leads or any of those opportunities. Again, I hope that Erin's presentation this morning was helpful for everybody, and we want to keep that going as we move forward. A quick follow-up from our last meeting, we talked about some committees and some subgroups that we will form that will start meeting in between our quarterly meetings. I'm going to send the link and the follow-up from yesterday's Central Carolina Community Foundation webinar on collaboration, because I really felt that it was helpful in our context at the Palmetto Vision Alliance to think about how we can be more engaged and get more traction in between these quarterly meetings. So stay tuned for some follow-up there, but we've got right now 3 committees that are identified: the Strategic Plan Committee, the Advocacy Committee, and the Community Outreach Committee. No other committee focuses or topics were suggested, but all are still welcome. Right now, they pretty much they each have 4 members, except for Advocacy, which has 5 members. So we've got some bandwidth there, but we do want to try to increase the engagement in those committees. And I would say we've got some really consistent support and some input from those of you that are on these quarterly meetings on a regular basis. But if there are others at your organization that would be interested in these committees, I feel like we should open this up as much as we can to others to help get more engagement and buy-in and support. So please consider, if there's others in your organization, if you'd like to share this opportunity as a professional development opportunity at an upcoming staff meeting that you have. I'd be glad to talk a little bit more about the focus of any of those groups. But we will be rolling that out probably right after the first of the year. Again, I know that November and December tend to be pretty hectic times for most nonprofits. So we don't want to put another burden on you in that time of year. So expect for these committees to start meeting right after the first of the year. And we will continue to receive input. And if you've got other people that want to sign up for those, that link that was in the last email for these committee signups will stay active. So you can forward that if other people want to sign up for those committees, or just email me directly, and that we'll make sure to get them plugged into those committees as well. Are there any other thoughts or feedback or discussion on the committees that we have? Does everybody kind of agree that January 2022 is probably the best time to look to get those started? Is anybody really pressing to get some of those going before the end of this year? All right, sounds good. Well, that leads us into the discussion portion of our program today. And there's some resources that I will send, but the Eris Foundation has a great model for where those ARP funds that Erin mentioned are being distributed. If you haven't checked that out, I will put that link in the chat box as well. But the Eris Foundation overview gives you a pretty quick visual of where those ARP dollars in South Carolina are going to local municipalities, to counties, and to state agencies. So if you are not already pursuing or contacting your county council representatives, your state house representatives, any elected official or state agency that you work with, now is absolutely the time to be doing that. We are looking at LVS, specifically at Lexington County Council. If anybody else is headquartered in Lexington County and would like to partner with us to help reach Lexington County Council, we'd be glad to talk with you about that. We would love to put together a joint proposal for that. We've been trying diligently to advocate for nonprofits for Lexington County with not a whole lot of success right now, but we're making our voice heard. But I would welcome other groups that might want to go in on that. And similarly, if you're in an area where there are other Palmetto Vision Alliance members, I think pulling multiple voices together is going to get more attention than one organization going at it alone. So I hope that you can use the network of organizations in our group as a resource to help you advocate for those funds for your organization. With that, I know that we are, again, approaching the holiday season where there are a lot of needs. What is your greatest need right now as an organization, and what can we do to help support that?
Hey, this is Callie. I was trying to get to my mute button. We continue to look for, and I know this is a grassroots level, but I think it's a systemic problem too, and I've mentioned it before, orientation and mobility services. We are referring folks over to PVA, and I'm glad that Jeannie and I were able to speak, but if anybody has any other ideas or resources, that's something that Able South Carolina we're exploring.
Absolutely, that is a good need to know. Brooks, I know that ABVI works a little bit in this area, but primarily in the Low Country. Is there any other resource or context that you know of, Brooks, that can help residents in the Midlands, or is there anything that ABVI can do remotely that could be a source of partnership or referral for Able SC?
So it's glad to see you on the call, Brooks. But yeah, I think you're right. Since it's the Low Country, it would need to be, you'd have to get creative.
Yeah, I know that ABVI has created some online options for programming. I'm not sure if that includes their orientation and mobility program as well. So Callie, that might be something that we could connect with. Oh, I see Brooks unmuted. Brooks,
yeah, I'm so sorry. Someone just came to knock at my door, needed something signed really quickly. So I apologize, I had to step away.
Sure.
Callie, what was I heard a little bit at the end, Daniel, about, you were asking about O&M being, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
No, you're okay. And I'm muting and unmuting because my dog decided to have a party here in the living room. But no, the question was for orientation and mobility services in the counties that Able South Carolina generally serves, which doesn't include your area. They're in the Low Country, but we're getting calls from folks who don't qualify for vocational rehabilitation services, who still desperately need orientation and mobility. We've been using TVI a little bit as a resource, but just looking for any and all ideas. If there was something, I know it's hard to do virtual, but sometimes a little bit of information is better than none. We're just looking to get creative.
Yes, we last year we had our mobility specialists create webinars. Again, yes, for safety, it's hard to have mobility virtual because our instructors, her biggest comment is that she can't, make sure that they're following the appropriate steps. But she did some training videos that are tips, not necessarily one for the client, but also for maybe a loved one that might be in the home with them. So as kind of a sighted guide, hand trailing ideas outside, your familiar space around your home, so those types of things. And it's something that I'd like to expand on, Callie, honestly, because I think any type of video resource we could provide would be great. So, or audio resource. So I'm happy to share some of those with you if you'd like, and if you have other ideas, please share with me, because I know that we want to make sure that we're providing as much as we can. But of course there's limitations when it comes to, what can be shared over video.
Yeah, no, right now that's what my the clients that I'm working alongside, they're doing. They're going on YouTube, which is sometimes really helpful, but also terrifying for me personally. So yeah, let's collaborate, and I'd love to see those videos and maybe put our heads together.
Yeah, sounds great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great connection there. Thank you, Brooks. What other needs are out there, or what other ways could we possibly find support within our network to help people out?
Hey, Daniel, it's Jennifer. And maybe I missed it. Maybe you sent it out.
Jennifer, we can't hear you.
Jennifer, your volume is really turned down. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, but not. It's still not totally up.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, sure
if
thing.
You can't, are you hearing me better, or you still need me to put it in the chat?
That's much better. Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
So is there a way, and maybe you sent it out, or I just don't know, is there any way that you can send us a list of and contact information for folks on the Palmetto Vision Alliance, this group, so that we can reach out to each other, or if people are okay with that? Do we
Absolutely.
have contact information?
We do have a contact list for everybody, and I can make that a regular point to reshare that information so that we all have our emails and phone numbers. And again, as that gets shared, if there's other key contacts at your organization that would be helpful to add, even if they can't regularly attend meetings, we would be glad to add to that as we need to. So, so yes, Jennifer, I'll be sure to get that to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
As a short-term fix, Jennifer, if you reply all to Daniel's message, everybody's email address comes up. That's how I've found stuff in the past.
Okay, that's yes, Callie, that's absolutely true. I should, absolutely. I just, I thank you. I appreciate all of your help so much.
It's just email addresses though, so I think it'd be good to have a name to go with it. I'd appreciate the contact list too.
Yeah, thank you all.
Absolutely, and it's very much a temporary thing while we work on a better website, but I have hyperlinked all of our current Palmetto Vision Alliance member organizations websites on our PVA page on at LVS. I'll put that in the chat here. So again, if you're looking for a quick link to another organization, that will send you there for all the organizations that are currently in our group. And hopefully we will have our own designated website with an array of services up with even more helpful and efficient links and points of contact soon.
Thank you for all your work on this, Daniel.
Absolutely. We always want to leave the conversation open if there are any client needs that you have that are currently not being met, that we can help with. If there's resources that you need to do your work better, or if you have any events or programs coming up that you would like to share with us or with the group. I guess this would just be a general time that we could share those organizational announcements or requests for assistance if you've got specific things that we should know about.
Daniel, I'll mention one. Every year, we're lucky enough to apply for the Good Cheer Fund here in the Tri-County. And I know this group is statewide. However, if you know of any individual who has a progressive condition, visually impaired or legally blind, that might benefit from a little additional financial assistance, this holiday season. The gift cards that it's an undetermined amount right now, but we will be providing gift cards to our clients, and they can be used on transportation services, medical services, low vision devices, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit that we're able to provide, being lucky enough to be a part of this grant. But again, it's only Tri-County. So if you know of any individual, they just have to be a client of ABVI. So please, don't hesitate to give out any of our information to an individual if you have them living here.
Awesome. That's great to know, Brooks. Again, that Tri-County area, Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester County in the Low Country. We have just put out, you might have seen if you follow us on Facebook, an event that we're doing as part of our quarterly virtual event series. We're having a conversation about the intersection of vision health and public health in a post-COVID context. We've got a public administrator from Atrium Health up in the Charlotte area joining one of our ophthalmologists from the Eye and Laser Center in Lancaster, and myself to talk about how public health and vision health overlap and how we can create more effective partnerships around that. So that promises to be an exciting conversation. It's a free virtual event on Monday, November the 15th at 12 p.m. That information is on our Facebook page and is also on the main page of our website if you'd like to register for that. All right, well, not hearing anything else, I want to briefly talk about our meetings next year. Would it be helpful for us if we pre-scheduled all of our meetings for the year at once? Or is it better for us to take things on still kind of a quarter by quarter basis, kind of looking at our individual calendars as we go along? What would be best for you all, since you're the ones that will be ultimately helping us schedule that?
Daniel, definitely need the whole year mapped out. I
agree.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, I like it. We do that for other ones too, and we love it. It's great.
Wonderful. Would you all like to just schedule those? I guess would it be helpful for us to set them at the same time, like the third Wednesday of the first month of the quarter or something like that? Okay, I'm seeing some affirmations there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I'll figure out how to put that into something like a doodle poll or something that we can send out, and we'll get that done before the end of this year, and we'll get all of our meetings for next year on the books. That will be helpful for us too from a planning standpoint. What do you all think about other communication channels? So we've kind of just been emailing on a quarterly basis, and that helps for these quarterly meetings. But as we get these committees in place and really start to get some traction there, would it be helpful to have just an informational monthly newsletter sent out to everybody? So you can see, it would be an opportunity for us to promote events that you all have going on throughout the year, to share updates from these committees that are meeting in between our quarterly meetings. I don't want to inundate your inbox, but would a monthly kind of digest newsletter be helpful for you as we think about how to make this alliance, this coalition, more engaged and really start getting some traction as we move forward?
I think it was a great idea.
And maybe we could kind of like, I'm just throwing out the Lions Club just because I know, but they require us to, if we want something in a newsletter, we have to send it by X day of the month, and then it can be included in that correspondence. If we had something that we wanted promoted or whatever, so we could, if we wanted to do something like that, you could say, send it by the 25th of the month, whatever it is, whatever you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Is anybody, I mean, I know my inbox can get a little unruly sometimes. Is anybody really opposed to getting a monthly email from us? I want to be sensitive to that. I don't want to overload anybody's communication channels.
This is Callie. I wouldn't ever want to start like a group thread where we're always emailing, but if it's one email once or twice a month, I would appreciate that. It wouldn't be overwhelming.
And if we needed to take it off to someone directly, then that way we have the contact information that you're going to send. We can email them directly with any questions that we had about the event or whatever it is, you know.
Absolutely. What I'm thinking for this, I haven't tried to do this before, but I believe there's a way we can add emails to our MailChimp account that are not subscribed emails. So you wouldn't be getting all of the emails that Lions Vision Services sends out, but we could still have those emails on a Palmetto Vision Alliance list that only got this one email a month. And then you don't have to worry about the email threads and everything. And we can send that out on a month-by-month basis.
And yes, you can do that.
Okay.
Works great. It works fantastic.
Awesome. I like MailChimp too, because then you can see who opens it and how often.
That's yes.
Everything
yes,
but
you
the
can.
GPS coordinates when they open it.
That's right. But that's great for marketing purposes. You know what I mean? You can see, okay, 40-something% are getting it or opening it or whatever. So it's really good, valuable information in that way, because we use it too. And so we're able to see, okay, we have them broken up into groups, like you said, you know, maybe it's just Lion Vision Services group, but then it's our group, you know, our vision, I mean, our little group. So it's pretty awesome.
Wonderful. Well, I'll work on getting that together, and I'm sure, you know, once that's in place, there would even be a way to put a sign up button on our website too, so that if other people wanted to receive that monthly email, even if they weren't attending the monthly meetings, that would be a way for people to learn more about the group and stay in touch. All right. Any other comments or questions or thoughts?
Thank you. This has been super helpful.
Excellent.
I actually, I got to say, I actually enjoy coming to this group. It's always beneficial, you know, as far as the comments are insightful. You know, people are very helpful, and you know how, as we all know, we go to some groups and meetings, and they're like, I met for an hour and a half, and what did I really get for that? That could have taken 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I really appreciate that it's organized, that it's, you know, you stick to something, and then we still get, you know, we're able to contact each other and help each other and support each other in the process.
Wonderful. That's our goal. That's how we want everybody to feel leaving these meetings. So I appreciate that, and I hope to varying degrees that's how everybody feels. We want this to be a meaningful use of your time that you are willing to give. So I'll also just put in one final plug. These committees that we're putting together, we do have members that have signed up, but we really need an individual that might help lead those committees. It would be helpful if we had a couple of individuals that could help take on those facilitator roles. You wouldn't have to do it all, you know, on your own. I'd be happy to support and provide assistance, but it would be helpful to us to have people that would step up to help put agendas together, help with creating reports from the meetings, help to facilitate those meetings. Again, all with support, but we could really use some hands in that. As much as I would love to be intimately involved with all three of them, plus the quarterly meetings, my schedule just won't allow it right now. So any individuals that are interested in that, please let me know, please reach out. And I look forward to getting follow-up from today out to everybody for your review.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I don't have anything else, and I want to be efficient and respectful of your time. So I will give you back the next 16 minutes from our scheduled time today. And thank you all again for being a part of our coalition. We greatly appreciate it. Happy holidays to everybody, and we'll see you next year, I suppose, if not before.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye, everybody.